survival is, all right, I'm in this tree and I'm gonna stay up here until these leopards get up out of there. It's not a bill. It's not like my cell phone's gonna get shut off or my car's getting repossessed or I don't have rent. It's not the same.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick Davenport, aka Mr. Mental Muscle, and we're back again today on the Mental Breakdown channel. Now, today I have a clip from my guy, Mike Rashid. He's an industry leader in fitness, but he also has his podcast, Civil Mind, Savage Body, and he has different topics. He's talking about leadership, mindset, science. The list really goes on. But he had a guest today named Mr. Let Go, who says he's a relationship expert as well as he studies the mind and psychology. So they got into a debate talking about the fight or flight response and perceived stressors. So given this topic, I had to say something about it. So let's check out the clip and go over the different points and see if we can break it down as always.
That would lead to the assumption that one lacks emotional intelligence.
Well, the reason why we're still alive is because of our feelings and our emotions. Cortisol, oxytocin, that's really what feelings are. I understand what you're saying.
No. Okay, let's talk about that.
Hold on, let me say this.
That subject.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
You perceive things a certain way, right? And then when you perceive something a certain way, you have a feeling about that particular thing. And then when you have a feeling about that particular thing, you make a choice or a decision depending on how you perceive that thing. That is actually what feelings are. See, the thing about
that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk
I'm
about
glad you brought that up. Why we're still here as a species.
Because it's a biological thing, that's
a subject that I love, right?
Let's do it.
So that kind of feeling, right? We have what's called a fight or flight response, right?
Cortisol.
Okay, that is part of it. That is a hormone that's part of it. However, that was to keep us safe from harm, from danger, right?
Emotional harm too is the same.
This emotional harm don't keep you alive or dead. It's not a decision of life or death. We're talking about predators, lions, tigers, whatever. That's the feelings that
your
was keeping people.
amygdala does not know the difference between a lion and your bill that's not getting paid.
So this part talks about something called the amygdala. This is a part of the limbic system. It's actually the most ancient part of your brain. It's way in the back, and it's more so about predicting and having instinctual responses to stressors, autonomic things. You don't really control it. Now, you can adapt to how you perceive stressors, and that's what I guess Mr. Let Go is trying to say. But when we talk about danger, perceived stressors, emotions, they are based on a lot of different factors. He's trying to go sort of the neurochemical route. We talk about things like cortisol. We can talk about things like norepinephrine, epinephrine. These are meant to keep the body going. Cortisol breaks down tissue like muscle tissue, immune tissue, so you can keep going, give you more energy, can be converted to glucose so you can fight or flight, literally get away. And the norepinephrine, epinephrine helps with the blood vessels constricting, helps with the increase of heart rate, respiratory rate. So it's getting you physiologically active for action. So Mr. Let Go seems to be making an argument of if you perceive it as a stressor, then it's a stressor, which is partly true. But the thing is, it's not imminent. That's something I want to carry with this whole video is it imminent danger? Because perceived danger could happen down the road, and we'll see how that's going to go on a little bit more.
If my rent is late or whatever, right? And I get put out, that is a survival threat because now I'm on the street. So a bill is a survival threat. It's either a survival need or a survival threat.
Okay.
So whether it's a bear at me or whether it's a bill being late, both are perceived, keyword perceived, as threats to my survival. Because if I'm out on the street, now I got to figure my life out. Right. And there's, so whether it's a bear or a bill.
So here he's making the argument of a bear versus a bill. I kind of like that alliteration, bear, bill. But basically he's trying to say the perception could be the same because if I see a 7-8 foot bear gnarling his teeth at me, chasing me, my heart rate is going to go through the roof and I'm really going to be in some serious danger if it catches me. Bears can run almost 40 miles per hour. They're super strong. They have sharp claws, sharp teeth. So my likeliness to survive if it catches me is very, very low. Now, using the bill argument, I get that he's saying the perception of, okay, if I fall behind on my bills, get evicted, get my car repossessed, I can't function as a member of society. Now, while that is something that is detrimental in day-to-day society, this is where I use my term, there's no more saber-toothed tigers. That's the only reason why we can actually care about that, because we have evolved to a societal level where that stuff matters, because Mike talks about this, how this wasn't always a thing. Society didn't have the same structure it did 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago. So we can't make the same claims because that's how society's set up. We're in a point where we have internet access, email. Think about it. I could talk to anyone across the world instantly. So these bring new problems, new advantages, but it brings new problems as well. But to sit there and say that this is equivalent to being endangered by a bear is not a true, or it's kind of a disingenuous statement, because you won't immediately die. That word imminent, remember I said imminent danger? That's what truly anxiety or the stressors that really can do the harm and the damage is about, the imminent danger. Now, the reason why the amygdala or the fight or flight response can be activated when you get stressed by societal issues like bills or dating or stuff like that is because we still have that hardware. That hasn't changed. I always say it's a foot race between the brain, the body, and society. The brain and the body are like right here. The body's right here. The brain's kind of here. And society's way over here, not even in the screen, because it's advanced so much. But if you took a person from 1533 and put them in right now, they'll adapt very easily. If you take someone from right now, put them in 1533, I would argue that they would have a lot more trouble adapting because of the societal factor. And this is what Mr. Let Go was getting at. And while I don't think it should be thrown out, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, you got to take into consideration this is not going to kill you. You're not going to be in harm's way because you fell behind on a bill. You can fall behind on a bill for months, still function fully, and then catch up again. But if I get my arm swiped off by a razor sharp claws of a bear, it's not looking good for me. So this is where I think the argument kind of gets disingenuous when he says that, not saying he's purposely trying to be that Mr. Let Go, but he's kind of getting away from the actuality of the physiological aspects of how the brain perceives stressor. You talk about the amygdala, that's only one part of it, because when we talk about as humans, we have perception. It's one of the things that made us survive this long, that our frontal lobe, our prefrontal cortex, is able to rationalize and make decisions. And we talk about that predicting. The amygdala is not really necessarily predicting. It's giving the sensation of something's going on and your senses are taking in that information of your surroundings, and it might think that it might be a danger. But our perception allows us to say, okay, let's make sense of the schema we're in. Where are we? Are we in the forest? Are we in a room by ourselves? If you hear a noise in the forest, that might be a danger. If you hear a noise in a room by yourself, it might just be the house settling. So we got to take all this into account when we talk about how we perceive stressors and danger.
This human beings are animals. We're animals.
Mm-hmm.
Biologically, we're no different than everything else on this planet, with the exception that we have a lot more neurons and a very robust cerebral cortex. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to surviving, that's easy. That's nothing. Surviving has nothing to do with a bill. It has nothing to do with an apartment or a house. Bums survive. Homeless people survive. Matter of fact, homeless people thrive. Okay, animals survive. Right? We used to be on that level when our safety was life or death, every decision, right? That's what the amygdala kicks in, right? So survival is, all right, I'm in this tree and I'm gonna stay up here until these leopards get up out of there. Mm-hmm. It's not a bill. It's not like my cell phone's gonna get shut off or my car's getting repossessed or I don't have rent. It's not the same.
So see, Mike made a perfect point, kind of playing off what I just said. The imminent danger is if he's up in the tree hiding from the leopards, trying to not get ate up by them. Until they run away, that danger is still persisting. Now, if I'm stressing about a bill, there could be times where I'm like, okay, I'm having a good day. I'm going to work. I'm just doing something to get my mind off of it. So I can go about my day. But guess what? At the end of the night, when I go in bed, I might linger in my thoughts and it's like, dang, I'm still behind. And it kicks back in. And guess what? You start stressing. Yes. But it's not going to get, see, matter of fact, I'll use a perfect example. I used to teach a class. We would teach things like psychology, stress. And on a chapter on stress specifically, I would do a fake test. I would let them know that it was real, but I knew from the whole time it was just to get their blood pressure up. So basically, I told them they had 5 questions. They had 2 minutes to answer all 5, and they all were filling in the blank. So you had to really think about it. It weren't multiple choice. So I gave them a little bit of time. I dimmed the lights and make the scene a little more pressurized. And then I would give time checks every minute to 30 seconds. And as it got closer, less and less. So they're getting frustrated. And at the end, I would tell them, okay, turn it in. And most people failed. And I said, this is worth 30% of your grade. So like, what? They're freaking out. And eventually I let them know it was fake. But the thing is, a lot of them like, oh my gosh, I was so worried. And the point of saying that is because now they perceive the stressor of, oh, if I failed this class. So I'll always say to them, can an F kill you? And most would say no. But there was a few who had to say, well, if I get enough, I fail class, I get depressed, my parents aren't proud of me, I get suicidal, and I might kill myself. That's a stretch. Now, can it happen? Sure. But guess what? There was a lot of things to get to that point. Imminent danger. If you're on a plane and they say we're losing altitude, the engines are blown out, you have 2 minutes before impact, Not much you can do about that. That's actual stress danger that will become physical no matter what. Does it negate the people who stress and worry about other things, more mental, psychological? That's not what we're saying. But the thing is, that's why I do my job as a mental coach and applied psychologist to help you get over those things, because we can change those realities that we put in our own heads. Anxiety is a gift and a curse. But if we use it as a gift, meaning reshaping how we utilize that stress and worry to overcome, that's the big picture. So that was an unintentional plug for me, but Mike's making good points here.
Like I said, if I don't pay my rent they put me out, that is an appropriate threat to my survival.
Is it?
Yes.
So you're gonna die?
Okay.
Are you gonna die? Survival
you
of
don't,
what?
Okay, you don't know if you're gonna die.
You do
Losing
know you're gonna die.
everything
People
could
can
put you in a position where you could die.
First of all, I have an organization called Dirty Angels, in which in whatever city we in, we go to the slums and feed people.
Yeah.
These people ain't dead; they're fine.
If you've never been homeless,
I have been homeless.
No, hold on,
and I was not in threat of my life.
Has never been homeless,
but no.
So they don't know what it is.
Hold on, but there's millions of people that's homeless, and most of them don't start out homeless. Okay, I had money before I was homeless. Okay, so, and I was not worried about surviving. That was not. We're so far past survival is ridiculous.
So here he's going back to the perceived threat, being homeless. This is, once again, kind of disingenuous, because obviously being homeless is not great. Like I said, we live in a more advanced society where not having a stable place to live can be detrimental to how we flow and function as a member of society. Does it mean you're depressed, unhappy? Maybe, maybe not. But you're not going to be in imminent danger. And Mike talks about he has an organization where it feeds people and he sees people. They're living their lives. Is it ideal for you? Maybe not. Is it ideal for them? Probably not. But are they adjusting, adapting? The beauty of being humans. So to say that they're going to die just because they're homeless, no, they just don't have a domicile that they pay monthly rent and have a steady place to be. But they can still live every single day because they need food, oxygen, water. And this can kind of get into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And a lot of modern psychologists have veered away somewhat from it because there's different levels, the physiological needs, breathing, air, water, food, sex, that's the procreate. And then next up, we're talking about security, things like that, because you need a place to be safe from other predators, other people, the elements of weather. Then you talk about loving and belongingness, then self-esteem, and then self-actualization. So all these different tiers, the first 2 or 3, you can say subjectively can be intertwined. The first one, obviously you need, but the 2 or 3, saying having the place to live, domicile, as well as like self-esteem, loving, belongingness, that all can be given in different spurts. But the basic one is the bottom, surviving in that moment. So putting all this together, he keeps saying that you could die or you perceive it as a threat. And he even goes to a point where he says, if the police kicked in the door, and I get this analogy. It actually was a good analogy because you're right. Police kicking the door, if they're there for whatever reason, you're automatically going to think it's someone going to harm you, because the logic and the schema, once again, schemas, that's the brain's way to put together scenarios that they already understand and frames to make it make sense in real time. So you don't have to predict, oh, someone kicked down my door. Nah, they kicked down the door. Something bad might be about to happen. So that's where your brain goes and you're ready for the action. But then the perception is, oh, it's the police, everyone down. Then you might say, okay, let me get down. Or you might say, what? And charge them, and something back and then sue. But the point is, you still made a perception. So if he's going to use a perception argument, we got to make it work both ways. Your perception dictates how that's what I teach my clients, how you interact with the world around you. That's the beauty of humans. I'll end it with this. That's the beauty of humans. That's why we've survived all these years. There's animals that do their thing, but they're in a cycle of how their behaviors and just the system and environment they're in. But you take us out of our environment and put us somewhere else, we'll create tools, technology, thought process, creativity to overcome it. So with that being said, we can use that as well to overcome stressors and perceive a bill. Okay, you got a bill? Fine, you're behind 2-3 months, figure it out. Get another job, create a business, create a product, do something to accumulate the funds. That's the beauty of us humans. We can do that. We're adaptable. So thanks for tuning in, guys. It's a great clip. Make sure you check out Mike Rashid's channel. It's the Civil Mind, Savage Body podcast. And as always, guys, thanks for letting me break it down and get your mind right.